So, Mr. Wekesa,
Yes.
karibu tena Music Teacher Kenya. Thank you for honoring my invite. I think for those who are meeting you for the first time, I'll send you to look for 3 videos back, done sometime last year on Wekesa Kusienya. So if you need to know more about this honorable gentleman here, Professor wa guitar. So maybe I think we should just get straight to it. This session is going to be a discussion on a particular popular guitar style that Mr. Wekesa mentioned in one of our discussions that got me very interested because alitumia language, he used guitar language, popular guitar language that is popular maybe here in Kenya, maybe rumba circles and Congo. And this is the use of kents in guitar. But before we get there, maybe Mr. Wekesa can tell us, you just played a popular piece. Most Kenyans who watch TV have heard that that song in a certain advert, Ramogi FM. And I'd want to ask, how long has it taken you to play like that?
Okay, thank you, Madam Jen, for having me on this show again. It didn't take me long to learn how to play this tune. And this is because I have developed my oral skills for many, many years. And again, listening to popular music styles, there is a sense in which your auditory faculties adapt to this particular kind of music. And being a practitioner at the same time, I'm able to tell where to get what kind of sounds on the guitar. So with that kind of endowment, it becomes very easy for me and that other artist who has maybe this kind of capacity to learn a new tune within the shortest time possible. So for me, it didn't take me too long. Maybe within 10 or so minutes, I was done because the melody is simple and sweet to listen to and clearly structured. Yes.
Yes, thank you. You told us how long it took you to learn that particular piece.
Yes.
But how long has it taken you to play the way you play guitar? How long, how many years or, months or decades has it taken you to get to the level of playing that you play?
It has been a long journey since around 1984-85. I've been learning every day. Every day I touch guitar, there is something new I'm learning, and I get polished. I become better and better by day, or day by day. So since 1984 to date, that is over 30-something years, and I'm still learning. So to put in very specific terms that it has taken me 2, 3, 4 decades, I'll be lying, but I still feel that the journey is still ongoing. But since 1994 to date is many years, it's over 30 years, and that has made me play the way I'm playing because I'm always with the guitar. I travel with it everywhere because any moment I don't do that, I can easily degenerate back to, 30 years back. That is the challenge. Yes.
So constant practice.
Constant and consistent.
But of course, over 30 years of experience.
I tell you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So question number 2 is, what would you say are the 5 most important things for a guitarist to put into consideration?
Good. 5. The first one is discipline. You must be a disciplined person in terms of time management. Once you set out your program of doing things, you must be able to stick to it. 2, you must have a timetable in terms of what it is that you want to practice on the guitar. You don't just touch the guitar and begin learning amorphous things. You will get lost. you need to identify what is this that you want to practice every other time you want to get to the guitar. 3, you have to do a lot of listening. You need to listen to as many types of musics as possible, and especially for the lead guitarists, you need to immerse yourself in popular music genres, especially rumba. Rumba is the mother of the guitar. I'm not despising or disregarding other genres of music, but the content in rumba speaks for itself. And then you need also to interact physically. That is the 4th point. You need to interact with the musicians with better experience and knowledge than you to get an experiential dimension. You cannot grow alone in a room somewhere saying, you know, I'm learning YouTube, doing that. That is good, but that is not enough. You need to interact. You need to get exposed. Find bands, find friends who have better experience than you, then get attached with them and see what you can do. You will discover there is a lot you don't know. And by doing that, you will grow. And lastly, trust in the Lord.
Oh.
Trust in the Lord. It is Him who will enable us do these things. Exactly, Philippians.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. I really didn't see that last one coming, but I think it really all comes down to, you know, to that, you know.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So now, wasikilizaji, I hope you really have heard that. 5 important things for any guitarist to put into consideration. The first one is discipline and in time management. The second one is have a timetable of practice. This is when you're rehearsing, at least identify an item that you would like to rehearse or practice on and focus on that. Number 3 is do a lot of listening to as many types of music as possible. But Mr. Wekesa says that as a lead guitarist, you need to listen to a lot of rumba because then it's rich, you know. The 4th one is he says that you need to interact physically with musicians with better experience and knowledge than you. Get into a band, in a group, work with friends. You get to grow so much when you're working with other musicians. And you also learn so much that you may not know. So you cannot learn or grow alone in a room with your phone on YouTube. And number 5 is trusting in the Lord, because it is Him who has given you that ability, who has enabled you to get to that place. So thank you, Sana. Now let's see. Of the things that you've amassed through the 30-something years, this experience, this guitar playing experience, which things would you say you learned? Let's give ourselves, let's say 4 things. Which 4 things would you say you learned in class, and which did you learn alone? Yeah.
First of all, my journey in guitar education, so to say, didn't begin in class. It began in the village, outside class. And it was a bit informal, not predictable at that particular time. We were in a lot of darkness trying to find out the path. So really, I can't, in a nutshell, say what exactly I learned, but if my memory serves me right, I learned fingering of the very, very first chord, which I later on learned. Now, when I got into formal education system, learned that it was C major.
Okay.
C major. But what I learned on my own was the plucking technique, using my fingers, finger plucking technique. And at that time, I did not know that it's also called plucking. So in my mother tongue, it had a name. If you allow me to use
please.
it,
Yes, please.
it was called hubuta. Hubuta to mean kuchuna.
Kuchuna.
So like if you are a good guitarist, in my language, you'll be told, we anajua kuchuna guitar. So it was the plucking style using my fingers that I learned on my own. Because I don't think that in my experience as a guitarist, there is a place you learn how to pluck a guitar, especially in popular music circles, except by seeing what people are doing and you go trying to do it yourself through observation. Yes. Yes.
So school gave you a name for what you were holding.
Yes. School.
It taught you how to label what it is that you were doing.
Absolutely.
Maybe offered an explanation for what it is you are doing. But the practical, you know, the technique that was developed on your own.
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
And by interacting. Yes.
With other musicians.
With other musicians. Remember, in our previous episodes, I mentioned a few guys who brought me up. I used to look at what they were doing, observing and imitating. But it used to get to a point when it was so difficult to remember what exactly they did because of memory issues. You can't remember everything. Things kept on evaporating, and that one used to make me get frustrated so much because the guitar would not sound like theirs. Okay.
Come to think of it, Mwalimu, I'm very sure that you grew up in the era when the internet was not as easily accessible.
No, it was not there.
So how did you observe these people? What mediums did you use to, you know, I mean, like there are some, say, musicians, guitarists from Congo that you mentioned. You listened, you did a lot of listening. You observed to, you know, some of your teachers growing up. That, especially some of these techniques, did you at any point, you know, I'd really want to understand, apart from the teachers who are around you, you know, the ones that you could actually physically interact with you. What about, you know, some of those who maybe, you know, listening to music from maybe, or watching videos, did it get to that point?
Far much later.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I was born of a parent who, especially my dad, who was very, very, very enlightened, but he had a particular perception about music. He didn't like children engaging with music at all. To the extent that issues to do with even those days, they used to refer to them as radiograms, tape recorders, those entertainment facilities in the house, television, my dad did not buy. For fear that it was going to entice children, waribike. So you can imagine in our house, we did not have a radiogram, okay? The only radio we had was sanyo, yambao, and it was a preserve for my dad. He would lock it in a cupboard somewhere, then travel, come ya kuona tu kusikiza tu matangazo. So what used to help us, me being one of them, was the times I was able to sneak out, going to learn guitar. Apparently these friends of mine had this kind of vinandas with the santuris. Yes, those were the moments I used to hear music playing. Yes, music playing and asking what is this. Then they would say, now, you know, this is an automatic, a kinanda. Children are not supposed to touch because itawakunywa damu. You need to grow up to a certain level. So it was again scaring. So the concept of video watching, that one was not there, because where would you see a video? If a camera alone to take a photo was not available within a close range, somebody had to come like 5 kilometers, a photo man, to come and take you a photo. family photo. Akija jua imeenda, he has to go again until Monday. So it was a big challenge. I only relied on that physical interaction, and once in a while, because you would still go anakwambia the batteries are down, the kinanda can't run. So you get frustrated, but now you stick on the guitar that time.
Wow.
Yes.
So all these experiences have shaped up your particular style of playing guitar, right?
Yes.
Which is, heavily a popular style, kind of style, and also very heavily influenced by the rumba.
Yes.
Now, in one of our discussions, you mentioned Kents. To be very honest, I've had a music education for, let's say, now this will be the 6th or 7th year, and to be very honest, I had never come across that concept. Kents, I had never had them. I had heard of so many other, concepts and terms in guitar playing, but Kents had never crossed my path. And that's why I think I got very curious, because I could imagine how many other people have not heard of that concept, or actually know of the concept, but maybe did not know that was the term. So let's talk about Kents. What are Kents? How do you play them? If you practice, how do you practice them? And how do you incorporate them in popular music playing? And why is it important for a popular guitarist to be able to play Kents? Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, may I also share my experience about these Kents? The first time I came across this term, I was also perplexed. And that was when I joined Blue Rangers band. That was a band by the Kenya, 5th Battalion, Kenya Army. It is in Gilgil.
Okay.
When I got attached to that band is when I also got to hear new terms being used in that band. Then I used to ask, now what do you mean when you say a Kent? Somebody is talking of a frame. Somebody is talking of us. What is this? Compose. I wondered what all this meant until one day a friend within the band explained to me what these ones meant. But now, having acquired a formal education, the Kents can be looked at from the perspective of harmonics. They are basically harmonics. Only that in the popular music style, they have given them their name. And I realized I did basics of linguistics. Languages grow, they acquire new vocabularies, the old ones die, and so on and so forth. I'm not quite sure whether this term Kent applies outside Congo and Kenya and maybe Tanzania. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that with Congo, Tanzania and Kenya, and now Uganda, popular music practitioners, especially those who practice rumba, use this term Kent.
Could you spell it for us?
The Kent. The Kent is basically K-E-N-T.
Okay, thank you.
So the Kent basically means being able to sound two different pitches at the same time.
Okay.
Maybe a former musician will look at that as an interval. So it is basically an interval that is sounded harmonically. And still, it can be melodic. And they are graduated in terms of octaves, thirds, and the thirds can be minor, major, diminished, or augmented. They can be fourths, they can be fifths, sixths, sevenths, yes. But we don't work with the compound Kents. So that is the first time I came across. I also got disturbed because I did not know what they meant.
Before actually you go,
Yes.
you talked about it being thirds, you talked about sevenths and octaves. You said it cannot be compound.
It cannot be compound because these Kents work within a range of an octave.
Yes.
the human fingers are created in a way that the fingering is only on the left-hand side for the right-handed guitarists. So stretching your finger beyond
An octave,
an octave
yes.
is a handicap. You can't go beyond.
Okay. Yeah, just to mention this to anyone maybe who's not had a music theory education, a compound maybe interval is an interval that maybe goes beyond an octave.
Absolutely.
So an 11th, a 9th, a 10th, an 11th, those are compound intervals.
Absolutely.
Yes. Tuendelee mwalimu.
Yes, so that is it. And I came to realize that the Kents characterize the style of rumba lead guitarist playing. That is what makes rumba guitar so distinct from other styles, those Kents. In fact, in the present world, especially in Kenyan context, you cannot convince the artists in the industry that you are a competent rumba lead guitarist if you cannot do Kents with the flexibility or the dexterity it deserves.
Okay.
Yes, so you should be able to combine, especially the octaves, both melodic and harmonic. You should be able to do the thirds, the sixths, the fourths, fifths, sixths. Once you are able to do those, you can get an opportunity to play in a popular band in Kenya and even outside.
Yeah, chill with the big boys, eh?
Absolutely. But then, there is something, if you allow me to mention about the thirds. The thirds have been characterized by Benga styles.
Okay.
Benga styles. In fact, a single line playing, the plucking, a single melodic playing is basically for Benga and the thirds for Bengas. But now, any interval beyond that, sixth, fourth, fifth, going up, anytime you introduce it, it brings in the rumba character. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Just to go back to that song we began with.
Yeah. Ramogi FM.
In my view,
Yeah.
it has both characteristics
Of Benga and
of
rumba.
Benga and rumba. Yeah. Beginning with the beat, it is foxtrot, slow rumba, but the guitar begins with the thirds, okay? Then it graduates into sixths, melodic. Do you allow me to
Yes, please demonstrate. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, for example, when we are here, then so these are the intervals I'm saying, the six. But here we were third. Do, do, mi. Okay. Then there is the introduction of a chromatic scale there. Yes, let's continue.
Okay. So actually, maybe before, what do you think? What variety does the chromatic scale bring into the music?
Good.
Yeah.
If I to take you back to early 70s, gospel music, and especially the choirs, had a certain style that the guitarists were using to cue in the singers. Okay? Like if you had this song, then that particular cue was the one that was used to bring in the choir. So in this particular song, that particular cue has been done with chromaticism, just to give color to it so that it doesn't remain bare.
Yeah.
So it is a decoration.
Color, bringing color, eh?
Bringing color.
Chroma.
Yeah.
Chroma is yeah.
Exactly.
Color. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Let's go on.
So I want to demonstrate
Yes,
on the
please.
different types of kens
Yes.
using the songs
Okay.
that we've already had. I want to demonstrate a broken kent
Okay.
on an octave,
All right.
in top of an octave.
Okay.
For example, this is a song that many of us know. I even did it. Sina Makosa.
Aha.
This one. Then the kent begins here. So this is the octave. So it is broken because it's broken or melodic.
Melodic,
because
yes,
it's,
yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
here we, so we are combining with the thirds. Yes. Now there is another version of the broken kents, which I may say inverted.
Okay.
And these ones were used by Kanda Bongoman.
Aha.
Yes, Kanda Bongoman, and I think the guitarist was Chaku Chaku. In
Okay.
this song,
Dun, 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 dun.
so the inversion is here. Okay? But I could still do the same here. So, yes. Yes, that is another version. Then I can bring in another example using the inverted Kent by Diblo Dibala with his piece Okay Madam. Yes. Diblo did this. You can see the inversion. Then he would do others, thirds and the fourths combined. That was Diblo style.
Wow.
Yes.
I cannot even pretend
Then
that
another.
it's gonna take me one year to do that. Okay.
There is this other one by Samba Omari Mapangala, and I think it is. If it's not Dali Kimoko, it should be Syrian Benza who did this.
Also a broken inverted Kent.
No, these are now sixths.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All
it's like then those are the sixths. But you can see he was also combining with fourths and third somewhere here. Then, so in the climax, he just did the Kens. Yes.
Did any of them explore seventh?
Not quite. The sevenths were not quite
Yeah, because I'm hearing the thirds, fourths,
thirds,
sixths,
fourths,
octaves.
yes.
Yeah,
Sevenths
but,
were not quite common unless we introduce it. But you'll find those ones in jazz.
Yeah,
A lot of sevens are in jazz. But
Yeah.
room, and that is now the defining feature
Actually, yes,
between
yes. Genres,
Genres.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because even like the dominant, also I think are very Western. They're very Western, whether it's Western popular or Western classical.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Now, TPOK jazz. They have done Matata ya Mwasi. No, that one is Pesa position. Okay. Then that is for Pesa position. But then Matata ya Mwasi, they have done this. Yes.
Wow. So you talked about those different types of Kents. So
Yes.
we've talked about the broken Kent, the inverted Kent. I mean, like Kents, majorly with rumba, we are seeing sixths, we are seeing thirds, we are seeing fourths, and octaves.
Exactly.
And is there anything else that we've missed?
Maybe. Yeah, I forgot to talk about the I've talked about inverted.
Yes.
can apply
Uh-huh.
with any type of Kent.
Uh-huh.
It can be an octave,
Okay.
a third,
Okay.
fourth, or yes. For example, if we invert the thirds into sixths, if a piece, for example, the rhythm goes like this. There's somebody that. So you can see you can vary, you go like this, then you change the shape. It gives different feelings. So once you introduce that in your piece, it changes the character. Even if it was just a choir, you are just doing Amen, Amen, Amen. Then you just somebody begins to. That is, you are not
Praise
born
the
again.
Lord.
Praise the Lord. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow. So let me try and summarize a little bit of what we've talked about Kents.
Absolutely.
That we've said that basically they are Kent playing is the ability to sound two different pitches at the same time.
Absolutely.
That could be either harmonically or melodically. And we've talked about this being a terminology that is frequently used in pop circles, and especially in Kenya, Uganda, Congo, and Tanzania. This is where rumba is heavy. I think this is a terminology. I'm not very sure, but it could be a terminology that just came from rumba,
Absolutely.
like rumba musicians. We see most of the intervals that, all types of Kents that are common are in intervals of thirds, intervals of fourths, intervals of sixths, intervals of an octave.
Yeah, there are also, if you allow me to add this, within
Yes.
the Kent, somebody can also add a suspended chord.
Okay.
Yeah, like this was used in this piece by Mbilia Bell. And the lead guitarist did this. This is supposed to have been the Kent,
Okay.
the octave. Okay, but then he holds this and plays them together. Okay. Then, yes.
Thank you.
So Kent can manifest from any direction,
Okay.
and it depends on the musician's skill to apply them.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
for someone who's learning about Kents for the first time today, and there are those things that you've mentioned, let's talk about a guitarist who already has learned another technique and would like to be able to start playing that style, playing these Kents so that they can play with the big boys.
Yes.
What do they need to know? What do they need to do? If it's practice, what are these some of these exercises that they could do to help them master that technique?
Thank you. Kents are obtained from chords and the scales. You will not be able to play a Kent if you cannot do a scale. So the beginning point is one must learn the scale, because the dexterity with which you need to execute a kent, you must have passed the test of a scale first.
Yeah.
If you cannot do a scale, forget about a kent, because it's with a scale, it's linear. But here you are doing more than one pitch.
Yes.
So it is not easy to do a kent. If I may give an example, and I'm not saying that it's not that they cannot.
Yes.
The latest music are the 7 type of music. You know, it is not having as many kents.
Oh yeah.
It isn't. Most of the guitarists, upcoming guitarists, are talking of 7. 7 is one style of rumba that is devoid of kents. You will be lucky to find a guitarist who has done kents within rumba, especially the octaves, the thirds and the sixths. You hardly find. Yes. So I don't know whether it is deliberate or because they don't know, but for the Kenyan ones, whom I interact with more often today, even my students, within and without where I teach, I discovered they are poor in their knowledge of kents, because the time at which they are finding rumba music, it has already mutated from the times when the kents were the in thing. If you could play the kents, you had no place in a band. So they are doing and concentrating on these first 3 strings, and to them, that is all. If you are able to do 7, then you are a virtuoso. Then they are there. But for me,
Give us 1/7. Give us 1/7.
yeah, okay, 1/7. Let me.
So that they can actually feel in terms of like the texture in the timbre. Is it the timbre and the texture? Actually, it's the texture.
Exactly.
Yeah, of 7 versus what you've previously played. You know, with Kents, the old rumba. You know.
Yes. Let me use a piece that we may be knowing, Lingala ya Yesu. Now it starts with some intro and then the rhythm guitar. Then that is for them.
Yeah.
But I want to do mine.
Line, right?
Yes, just melody.
Yeah, single, yeah. And heavy on the rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. Heavy on the rhythm.
Heavy on the rhythm, yes.
Exactly. I wanted to do my own 7 like that. Can you see mine?
Depth.
The
got
depth?
It's got a depth. Yeah, it's got
Exactly.
it has got a depth. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much. Yes. Wow. Okay, I think have you answered all my questions? Oh, yes, I was talking about, you talked about skills. I think if for anyone who's hoping to learn, you know, this new technique or this technique, they'll need to focus a lot on the skills, knowing their skills, right?
Yes.
What else would they need to focus on?
Now, once they
listening to
listening.
yes, listening.
Exactly. You have to listen because if you don't, you will not be able to play any cover, for example. And these scales will help you. Once you know that scale, when you listen to any music that a scale has been used and you are asked to play, it will be easier for you.
Yes.
If you have then been able to learn some kent and you come across a piece that has a kent, application of that particular kent becomes mteremko kwako. I know it is not easy. Even me, it took time because the finger, manual dexterity, sometimes fingers become stiff. They may refuse to move. But once you dedicate, when we go back to our 5 points, I can tell you, even within a month, if you just set your timetable in a way that every Tuesday, 2 hours, I'm going to learn scales. Whatever scale. You will move. If you set your day, I'm learning kents. Which kents? Octaves, broken or harmonic. In all the keys. Then you invert them. You will be able to play them. If you you'll be able to play them. But if you just come and say, hii ni ngumu, then you forget. You'll never do anything.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So you master the chords because we are deriving these kents from a chord structure. If it is A, you then...
A.
What is the... Like now, if I were to play some arpeggio here that is so interesting, like if it was not through listening, I wouldn't have known to play such a thing. For example, I was playing this today in the church. Like now, I can play the major version. Okay. Then you can imagine. All because of practice and listening. So I've done the diminished version and the major version.
The major version.
Exactly. Yes.
Do your scales, musicians. Learn your scales.
Yeah, learn your scales.
Practice your scales. All of them. All of them. Not just the ones that you like.
No.
All of them.
In fact, the ones you don't like
are
the ones you need to really practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Mwalimu. I think we've gotten quite a lot about this Kent. Now it's no longer an animal that I fear. At least I have a good understanding. And I think my understanding has been eased or has been, made easier because of an understanding of maybe how intervals work and what intervals are, scales, all those types of scales, the diminished, the augmented, the major, the minor. So yeah, your music theory is important. So even as you're watching or you're learning from YouTube University, which is where this video is going to go, it's always important to, refer to, get 1, 2, 3 lessons on music theory. It's very important. It helps you to understand what it is that you're doing, especially if you've come from a place where you learned how to do fast and then now started understanding what it is that you are doing. So thank you so much. Any parting shot, Mwalimu?
Well, thank you. I want to encourage guitarists, both male and female, that guitar is a very good instrument. It whiles away stress, yet people find it the most complex again to learn. I want to encourage everyone to join me in this journey so that we can play together. It is never too late. You can start now, and in a month's time, based on the basics, the requirements we
Yeah.
talked about, you'll be able to cause your guitar to sing something for
Hubuta.
you. Hubuta, you'll have
Hubuta.
you'll cause it actually to, you'll tachuna and the guitar ita obey. It will cry
Yeah.
somehow. So thank you so much. Until maybe we meet next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Asante sana. Thank you for watching this video. It's been a while, I know, but we thank God, you know, above all. We thank God that we have seen today and we've been able to do a video at least. And we hope that you get to learn a lot from this. Subscribe if this video makes sense to you. You can share it with your neighbor and tell your neighbor to share with their neighbor. And share to as many musicians and aspiring musicians as you can. I think we are hoping to change this country, one guitar string at a time.